Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor here, and with guests, don't you worry, we're bringing the fantastic pair in just a minute. A little bit of a special guest tonight as well, Joe Wayman, which is exceptionally exciting, of course. Make sure you're liking the video. Check out Joe's channel if you want some quality Leeds content. The link's in the description below. I believe he's doing a watch along tonight as well. I bet you appreciate that plug, Joe, all day, mate. No worries. Yeah, we're back with Brownie as well. We've got a cracking show to get into tonight. Don't you worry. We're talking Bamford. We're talking squad building. We're talking Firpo. We're talking a point gained, or was it a point lost? Allardyce so far. And I want to get into a bit of director of football chat. What's going on with this position with Leeds United at the minute? And also, have we given ourselves a little bit of a chance at the weekend? There's loads of you in the building. There's nearly there's 400 of you already in the building. Make sure you're slapping a like on the video. Make sure, as I've said, you check Joe's channel out. Brownie and Joe are in the building. Gabe's not with us this week. He's moving house in America. I don't know where he's going, but there you go. I send you love to Gabe, and we will see him presumably next week. Without any further ado, and without me mumbling again, we've got Brownie and we've got Just Joe Football Show, who he goes by now, not Joe Wayman. It is Just Joe Football Show on his passport. Everyone have seen it. But yeah, thanks for joining us today on the debrief. Joe, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Good, man. Good. I feel like I'm in the big leagues now, coming on to the debrief. You know what I mean? The big dogs.
Yeah, we won't be for much longer, mate. So if you can stick with it, it'll be great. But yeah, Brownie, all good, fella?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Can't wait to get stuck into this because I'm sure it's another week of Leeds United, isn't it, where there's still so much to talk about. It's another week, another drama.
Yeah, Joe, straight away, mate. Do you want to clear this up?
I actually was one. My apologies.
Yeah, no, it was all we were. I think we were all coming on a little bit late, but there's a few people in the building. Ethan, a regular, saying evening, Connor. Gordon's here saying evening, Connor. Gabe and Joe. There you go, Brownie. So cracking haircut, the first one. Thank you, the first compliment. Get Joe to 20k.
I'm not talking about you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've just had mine done, bro. What are you on about?
Don't get Joe to 20k. Go down.
Unsubscribe. It can't be about you.
Yeah, we've got loads to get into tonight, everybody. Yeah, let's get on with it, I guess. So, fellas, 2-2 draw at the weekend. Quite nice that Leeds haven't lost the game, which is, it's nice. It's a bit of progress there. I mean, we've got loads to get onto, as I've mentioned, but I guess the most poignant place to start, and I know ex-striker for Bradford, Forest and Leeds United that we have in the top corner. No, it's not just Joe. It is it's David Brown. And what's your take on it, mate? I know we're talking off air, but let us know your thoughts and all that good stuff, mate.
How long we got?
Breathe. Take a breath, mate.
I get the criticism. I do. I get it. Firstly, I think if you go to the level of abuse, then it says more about you than it does about Bamford. That's my first take on it. I think strikers will always get highlighted more. They get more accolades when they're doing well, and they get more of a battering when things aren't going well. That's just their position they're in. If I keep saying things like, hearing things like, we're going down because of the misses. Let's just be clear. If we go down, it's because we've conceded 71 goals. If you look at the top end of the pitch, we scored more goals than Villa, who were 7th. So to me, the top end of the pitch isn't really the issue. It's the fact that we've had some mediocre at best performances at the back. I mean, even if you just take the Newcastle game, the 2 penalties that we gave away are absolutely brain dead. Them two just in isolation. Since the World Cup, we may as well have had Billy Brem the statue in net. That's my personal take on it. So for the level of abuse that Bamford has been getting, is it warranted in relation to other players in the team? And I don't personally think it is. I totally criticism. I totally do. He's missed some glaring chances I think it's been at key moments of games as well, like the Leicester one, last minute, the Newcastle one, chance to go 2-0 up. The key moments in games, so they're heightened even more. Do I think he should be leading the line for Leeds United? No, I don't. This isn't a slam Bamford thing. I came away from Brentford at the end of last season saying we got away with one, not really having a number 9 all season. We have to go and get another number 9. We didn't. So the fact that he's having to lead the line isn't his fault, if you ask me. It's not his fault that he's in that position. He's our number 9 and he's the best we've got in that role. It's no coincidence that managers have started him as number 9. I'm going to throw Forshaw into this as well, because Forshaw I thought was unbelievable. I thought it was class when he came on against Newcastle. But should we be reliant on Adam Forshaw being able to play half a game here, half a game there? No, we shouldn't. 3 years into the Premier League. So should we be reliant on Patrick Bamford putting these chances away? No, we shouldn't. But this is where we are. Mismanagement for the last 2 years is why these players are still in the team. So all the abuse, and I'm speaking as with my player head on, I do not know what it achieves. I do not know how that is going to make Patrick Bamford better. I'm not saying the criticism shouldn't be there for him. Of course you do, because when he scores goals, when he scores hat-tricks, he gets all the plaudits. That's what strikers are there for. But I just don't know how it helps. I really don't. And that's kind of where I'm at. Do I want a better number 9? Yes. Have we got one? No. So there's not really anything we can do about it, to be honest. I see people saying the penalty goes in, we win the game. I get where they're coming from with that, because I do feel we're a different animal under Allardyce. We're a bit more tactically astute. But I've been at games this season where we've been 2-0 up and we haven't won. And one of them was Southampton away. We were 2-0 up with 20 minutes to go, didn't win. We were 2-0 up at Old Trafford with 25 minutes to go, didn't win. So I think it's very easy to say that we'd have won the game. I'd like to think we would have done. But just going all the way back to the abuse for Patrick Bamford, he's going to play the next 2 games, whether we like it or not. He's going to be our number 9. He's going to start games. So I don't get how the abuse helps. And as for the penalty, and again, seeing things like it was all about me, I wanted to score a goal. I've said this on this show a lot. I don't see many leaders on that pitch. Nobody else went and got the ball. Nobody else was snatching the ball. Nobody else was putting themselves forward to put themselves in a high pressurized situation. Only him. So I think that says a lot about the other players as well. Would I have preferred to see Rodrigo step up? 100%. Of course I would. I don't think anybody in the ground thought, oh my God, this is going in. That's just where we are with Bamford at the minute. But he put himself in the window. Has anybody in the comments or anybody watching ever taken a penalty in front of 30,000? No. So we can't really know what he was going through. Did he mean to miss the penalty? No. But like I've said, he's what we've got, and that's not through his own fault. That's just where we are as a football club. That is what we've got at the minute. Did anybody have any hesitation that Callum Wilson were going to score his 2 penalties? Not in the slightest. And that's where we've got to get to if we want to be a top Premier League club. We need players like that leading our line, and we haven't. But that isn't Patrick Bamford's fault that he's the only number 9 at the club. And that's kind of where I am. I see both sides to it. I don't see how it helps, but I do understand why he's getting it. But for to see things like we're going down because of him, I don't buy into it. I don't. We've conceded 71 goals. 71 goals is why we'd go down.
It's interesting. I find this chat really interesting because I agree with you. There's no chance it's just him. There's no chance. Joe, I'm going to come to you though, mate.
Yeah.
Brownie always references Meslier, and I completely agree with him. Can you say that the striker in any team and the goalkeeper are the most important positions in a starting 11? And is that why, goalkeepers save you, don't they? Maybe 10 to 15 points a season, but strikers win you 10 to 15 points a season as well. And when you look at maybe, as Brownie's just referenced, Wilson, look at Ivan Toney, Mitrovic, Ollie Watkins, players like this who've really galvanised their sides. And without their goals, they wouldn't be at those stages. That consistency as well. I think when you look at Patrick Bamford at the minute, and he's got 1 goal more than Rasmus Christensen, it is a massive problem. And like Brownie, completely agree. He is not the reason Leeds would go down if we did go down. But as a striker, that's why they paid the most in it, Joe, you feel?
Yeah, no, for sure. I again echo what Brownie said. I think it was quite interesting when he was talking about, goal scorers getting the praise, when they're scoring the goals and then when they're missing. And like you made that link straight away to the goalkeeper, because that's what I thought about as well, straight away thinking, it's everyone in the middle sort of gets a pass, really. Do you know what I mean? But those at the either end of the pitch are the ones that are going to get the stick or the praise. But I do think I agree with you, over the course of the season, but it's about moments. It's about moments, and it's hard as a fan for me to go, but if he'd have just scored that goal against Leicester, we'd have got that extra 2 points that we need to stay up. If he'd have just put that penalty in, that'd have been that extra 2 points, because it's going to come down to that. Like, if we go down, it could be 2 points that we'd have needed. And you look at them 2 moments because they're fresh in the memory. Of course, I don't have an eidetic memory. You know what my memory's like. There'll be moments earlier on in the season, but them games there, it's like they're so fresh. And I think the frustrating thing for me was, and I guess this is echoed by the full fan base, it seems to be, we all knew he was not going to score. I think we all knew. And again, for me, it's not even a case of his ability or anything. It was more his mental state. For me, Patrick Bamford's a massive confidence player, and he's just not in confidence. The fact that he's had to come off social media says that he's not in a good headspace. I'm not condoning any of that, by the way, but it shows he's not in a good headspace. But like Brownie said, where was like Luke Ayling? I'm not putting this on him, but he was the captain that day. Why didn't he go over and say, Patrick, do you think maybe, Big Sam said after the game, said, I didn't see Rodrigo pulling the ball off him. And there seems to be this rhetoric as well going around that Bamford took the ball off Rodrigo. I wasn't in the ground, unfortunately, to be able to see that. I don't know if Brownie was, but I don't.
I was at the Cop End. I didn't see it.
No.
It was around the pitch. So if people have seen that on TV, then fair enough.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen so a lot of people have been saying that in my video, that apparently he took the ball off Rodrigo. Which, sorry, what are you saying, Joe?
It doesn't. It makes sense though, because Big Sam also then said, "Well, I didn't see Rodrigo," and the cameras. We know Sky did a panned on that. Them two going like that back and forth. If Rodrigo really wanted it, he'd have got it. And I just think Bamford's the number 9, and there has to be context on this. And people reminding me, Rodrigo missed his last penalty as well that he took. So we have to also take that into consideration. But I just think he was never going to score it. Like, I just knew. And I was just gutted when he picked it up. I was like, no, please, because I just had no confidence in him, man.
I mean, it's interesting what you say there, Joe, about moments. And I think that's the reason why these misses have been highlighted even more, because one is in the 90th minute. And Connor, you're right. Yeah. Both ends of the pitches get highlighted more. If one mistake from either end of the pitch and it's either a missed chance or a goal. And I read all the comments I do, because I think everybody's opinion is valid. And to say that Meslier is a scapegoat it's outrageous. I mean, I was at Goodison when Seamus Coleman scored from the corner flag. I mean, that's a moment in a game where that's their point's gone. I was at Bournemouth where he patted one down to Jefferson Lit. Their point's gone. I was at Craven Cottage where a ball's got crossed into the box and he's just palmed it down to Harry Wilson. They're not tap-ins. These are mistakes. These are mistakes that costed us points.
The howlers, so aren't they? The howlers.
Just like they were howlers. I mean, the last one at Bournemouth, the game's gone, but it's horrendous. The last one at Bournemouth was horrendous, and I think that's why he just got took out of the goal.
They are though, Brownie, aren't they? They are the most important. And when you look at Meslier and when you look at Bamford, I think that's why almost they're lighted up when mistakes happen, because, for example, we all remember that one Bamford's missed at Leicester. We all remember the one where he's on the line and he blocks the effort. We all remember the penalty miss against Arsenal, the penalty miss against Newcastle, because it's all those like Joe said, it's moments, it's those fine lines. And I think Illan Meslier is in that same that same boat, isn't he? Because those mistakes have led to opposition goals, and I think that's why the middle, because there's so much. Because let's say if Mark Rocker or Weston McKennie loses the ball in the midfield, there's so much opportunity for Leeds to still prevent a goal, isn't there? Whereas they're in such critical positions that they're always going to be, lambasted for mistakes.
Of course, mate. Of course. And another great comment that I've seen flash through. We paid 7 million for Bamford. 7 million. And when was that? 2018? Possibly 2017, 2018. So nearly 5 years ago, we've paid 7 million. I'd say we've got 7 million's worth over 5 years. Again, another point. Why is that guy still our number 9? We paid 7 million for a striker. We've been in the Premier League 3 years. Why on earth is he still leading the line for Leeds United?
But we've said that, Joe, with Brownie's made a good comment there. He's talking about like Bamford, and then you're looking at Forshaw getting a half. You're looking at Ayling still there. You're looking at fans still wanting Dallas to come back in, and then like as Brownie's talking about Bamford and stuff like that. The squad building is just. I mean, I honestly look at it, and I'm looking at the side at the weekend. I'm still hearing like the co-commentator talking about Cooper, and I'm like, I did not envisage this. I really didn't. I thought it would have been a massive process with Leeds. I really did. I thought, when we got to the Premier League, I always remember, Joe, when me and you were together, and I said, if we just get up to the Premier League, even if we came down, we'd have the parachute money and we'd just be in a better position. It just doesn't feel stable at all at the minute, does it? And I think that's been reflected on the pitch, even though it was a 2-2 draw, but we're talking about the general. Yeah,
I think for me, I'm guilty of being very, more on the passion side of it. I get it, more passion. I don't sometimes sit back and take things in. And I fell for the old Victor Orta rhetoric of him being just a passionate guy. And it isn't until now that he's actually exited the club, that you actually look and think, wow, we are in such dire straits. Like Big Sam spoke in his press conference about, needing 5 great subs as well. And I looked at our bench and thought about our bench. Like, Connor, I remember, you can remember this, Stoke away, and we brought on Jordan Stevens in Bielsa's first season. And I look at where them players are now at clubs like Barrow and stuff. And has it really evolved from that? No, not really, because the bench, yes, they are a better quality of player than a Jordan Stevens or a Robbie Gotts or whoever, McKinstry, whoever. But they're still not Premier League players. They're still not Premier League ready. And you just have to look, we're not comparing ourselves with Man City, etc. But, I'm looking at, say, someone like, I don't know, Palace, for example. They can bring on Milivojevic, all these different players that have played at a decent level across Europe. And they're still of a certain level, whereas we're looking to kids, the clamouring from the fan base to go, play JB, play this. It was the same when we had Edmondson. No disrespect to Edmondson, but he was never of a level. But and JB may well be, but we shouldn't be in a position where the fans are having to go, play JB, fast track these players' developments and bring them into a relegation scrap, which could absolutely, knock them for 6. Brownie, I watched this show and I've heard you mention about him just continuously buying wingers. And you look at it now and you look at that back 4 and you do think, now that Orta's gone, that Akamak from Barcelona, that deal's gone now, hasn't it? But it's like, as good as he might be, we didn't bloody need him anyway. We need defenders, man. Like, I fell into this thing of being a snob, and I realise it now because having watched these relegation rivals, I go, we could have done with Ben Mee. We could have done with James Tarkowski. We could have done with a Dwight McNeil. And when I a Nathan Collins at Wolves, and when these were getting mentioned, I'm going, nah, we need these, we need that. But now I think, no, I know this might sound crazy, but I've even come round to the thinking that if we did stay up, just stick with Big Sam for a couple of seasons because we just need a grounding, man. Yeah. We need to get used to Premier League win. And he won't suffer fools. He'll say, right, I want this experienced player. I want this experienced player. The squad's, it's abysmal, bro. It's shocking what Victor Orta and his ego's done. Sorry, Brownie.
Brownie, just to add to this, what Joe's saying there, it's even when you look at West Ham, And, they invest in Danny Ings for what, 15 to 20 million. And I'm not saying we've mentioned it several times, but he's not been an unbelievable striker. But maybe in our system, he'd have been gold dust, just a couple of, maybe 4 or 5 goals, whatever, from January onwards. And you look at what we have actually done, but it's criminal. Not only did Victor Orta get this Augustin signing, and that's blown up post January to a different extent, wages and then the initial fee, whatever. We've still got Rutter just on the bench. Nothing's happening there. It's 35 million quid. It's staggering. Can't believe it.
It is. I mean, Joe made an unbelievable point then about Stevens and McKinstry. They were on our bench in the Premier League.
Yeah,
you mentioned that year where Bielsa was getting just hammered left, right, and centre. That was our bench. There was more on the bench. We had players on the bench with squad numbers like 62, 55. I mean, this is in the Premier League in our second season when them hammerings were happening. And he mentions the kid from Man City being our go-to. It was same as last year. Play Lewis Bate. He should be playing. Lewis Bate should play. And it's like this squad hasn't evolved. Ayling's took a hammering this year when he's been getting in that Palace game where he got burnt. Is he better? Is Christiansen better than at right back? I'm not sure he is.
Nice.
So we're bringing players in and they're just not taking us to the next level. I always look at footballers. If you're going to sign a player, is he better than what we've got? If not, it's pointless. And I just think this year where we look at the players we've brought in, Brendan Aronson, is he better than anybody that we had? No, the level of player just hasn't gone up. And then we wonder why we've regressed in the league. But you touch on Rutter being pointless. We brought in the centre-back, forgive me, Spanish or Portuguese. I've not seen him in the first team. He's been on a couple of benches. He's meant to be the next big thing.
I totally forgot about him.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
Again, I'm sick of thinking about 2 or 3 years down the line because that might not happen. It needs to be the here and now. The here and now is the most important time in football because if the here and now isn't sorted, the next 2 years, pointless.
But that's been his biggest. I mean, that was Orta's biggest weakness, wasn't it? It's the fact that he's always thinking about the sell-on fee. He's always thinking about what's going on in 5 years' time, and not thinking about what's going on now. And that it's been a massive. And like you said, it's you sit back and you think about it. The squad last season, I know Phillips never played, but he got back into it toward the end. But then with Rafinha there, I know we spent money, but has the side got better? Like I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, where has it got better? Like where have we strengthened? I can't actually think about that, Joe. It just seems like, I mean, when you get in Forshaw, and I'm a massive Rocker fan. I've even got his haircut on purpose. But it's one of those things where like I look at Mark Rocker, and as Brownie mentioned earlier on, Adam Forshaw's coming onto the pitch, and he looks better than McKennie and Rocker, put together at the minute, and that is a sad state of affairs, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's like the fact that I know you're not a big fan of Greenwood. The only reason Greenwood played the first 45 is because Forshaw can't give us 90. If Forshaw could give us 90, he'd be playing him for full 90. And again, that's what's going on with the squad building there, because is Greenwood of a sufficient level to make it in the Premier League? It remains to be seen. You've mentioned it before about him being a striker and then a 10 and now a midfielder or whatever. He needs time out on loan. He should have been allowed to go out on loan when the Joffrey and the likes have. But yeah, I just think it's a damning indictment. I'm the same as Brownie in a sense that, and it's the same with Bamford when they go, just drop Bamford, right? But who's going to come in and do his role? People say Rodrigo scores goals. Yeah, but he can't do what I kept coming back to that City game. Yes, Bamford was poor. Yes, Leeds didn't look great, but we'd have looked worse if Rodrigo was asked to do what he was asked to do, because he can't do what Bamford's asked to do. Same with Ayling. What's your other option? Rasmus. Well, we've discovered, for me, Rasmus is better as a no-nonsense centre-back than he is at right-back.
Yeah, let's not talk about him as a right-back.
Yeah, exactly.
And you look at Firpo. I mean, dear God, I mean, he could have been.
But what's happened to him though? Because there was a point where you almost thought that Grazia had turned him around, and then he's just regressed back to normal, hasn't he? I mean, he was abysmal at the weekend, wasn't he? Wow.
He could have been booked 5 times. I mean, they've showed a stat. I saw a stat on Match Today or somewhere that he'd only been booked 6 times. I couldn't believe it. I was staggered. He'd only been booked 6 times. He could have been booked 4 or 5 times on Saturday.
I think McKennie's been booked more than him, hasn't he?
I mean, again, is he an upgrade on what we had? I mean, I know.
I seen it, bro. I seen a stat earlier. Leif Davis got the 3rd most highest assists across Europe.
Jesus
Christ. It's serious, bro. I'll try and find it. I think it's like Messi, someone, and then Leif Davis. And I know it's Ipswich, and I know it's League One, right? But I was like,
you know what's happening. You know what's happening at Portman Road if we go down next year, don't you? You know what's happening.
Exactly.
Again, though, like Joe said, and it's an unbelievable point he makes. If you drop Firpo, who are you putting in? They're just depth is just no. I mean, you drop anybody, and whatever's coming in is just. I mean, it's just not there, is it?
No, it's not. It's not.
And going all the way back to your original question, Connor, about Bamford.
Sorry.
Yes, I do get the critics. I do get it, but I don't think he should be number 9 for Leeds United in the Premier League after 3 years. I don't.
But I think that's a bigger point, really, isn't it? I mean, my personal point of view is, I think with the amount of big chances he's missed this season, I think you can lay quite a bit of criticism at his door because he's paid to score goals at the end of the day, and I think he's from what he's paid pretty decent money as well to score goals. I understand he's human. Listen, the abuse is from some dense idiots. Believe it or not, me and Joe get that from a watered down YouTube version every day, most weeks from dense clowns who bedsheet stickers, never open the curtains and all that lark. But so you can't imagine what some of these footballers get. So horrendous. But when you're looking at criticism, I think we can all lay a little bit and probably a little bit more at his door because he's the leading striker. But like you said, it's kind of his fault, but it's not his fault because why in January are you not going out and buying a striker? Why? It's self-inflicted. It's self-inflicted all the time with Leeds.
I mean, I saw the Bamford chances, and you know what I'm like with this XG. I don't really buy into it because it's a load of nonsense for me because it depends. I don't say it's a load of nonsense, but I think it doesn't take into account who's taking the shot. That's my gripe with it. If it's Messi going through on goal or Liam Cooper, the chance is the chance, and it doesn't really buy in who's having the chance, and that's my only gripe with it. And I see that he's the highest missed chances of XG. He's had the most missed chances. But Leeds actually have more goals than they should have with the expected G. So
do you think if we'd have just had and this is, I mean, you can put this at Bamford this year for me and ask Joe the same question as well. When it comes down to having just a bang average striker this season, I think Leeds would have finished 11th or 12th. I genuinely think that. I believe it would have been a mid-table finish, even if you just got a striker who'd have scored, he scored 4 goals? A striker who scores 10 goals next to Rodrigo or whatever, who'd scored maybe a little bit less.
I do. I agree. And the other problem I think we've got is there's nobody else really chipping in with many goals either. You've taken Rafinha out of the equation. Harrison hasn't chipped in with as many as usual.
Sinny's been the miss. He's been the miss. If he'd have been fit, if he'd have been fit, Brownie would have been all right.
Of course. He's scored goals, but he's been injured. Like you say, he's been a massive miss. Somerville had a bit of a streak with 4 goals. Nonto's got a couple. I agree. I just think if you add even another striker to accompany Bamford, so Bamford isn't having to play in all the games, where you look at other teams where, I'm not saying of this quality, but you look at Newcastle, they've got Wilson and Isaac who can interchange game by game. They can play, then they can not play. Other teams have got it, like West Ham, you say, with Danny Ings and Antonio. There's 2 main number 9s and they alternate it. I just feel like even if we had another half-decent striker, I think we are out of trouble. But going forward, if we do stay up,
Bro, I watched Everton versus City yesterday, and for the first 30 minutes, Dominic Calvert-Lewin was immense against.
He was brilliant. He was.
And I looked at his performance and obviously compared it straight away to what we got from Bamford. And I do back Bamford in terms of his hold-up play, etc., because I do think at times it can be of a decent level. It was for the first goal. He headed it into Harrison's path. He then gets it off him and gets the cross across. That doesn't happen if Bamford's not winning that ball. But if you compare it with someone like Calvert-Lewin, and I know Calvert-Lewin, if he didn't have his injuries, probably might have even moved on from Everton already. But, you know, there was a striker out there, weren't there? There was Victor Gyökeres at Coventry. You know, the Championship's Haaland, I heard someone call him the other day. We could have gone and got that guy. And now I'm seeing Wolves linked to him. We'll probably go down. He'll go to Wolves and he'll get hatfuls. They struggle for goals and he'll probably get them. And again, it brings me right back to me losing my head over Angus Kinnear doing this gaslighting thing in programme notes, telling us all that we had an England number 9 and he played like 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He's just trying to do everything on the cheap, Joe, isn't it?
Yeah,
he's just trying to do everything on the cheap and everything they can do to save a buck or bring someone in cheap. And I mean, Willie Gnonto's been brilliant this season. We stumbled into that signing. We only got in because Dan James went out on the last day. It's just everything trying to be done on the cheap.
And let's be honest as well, Brownie, if we actually think about it, had we have managed to get that Zaniolo over the line, who was an injured croc, Harrison would have gone to Leicester. Yeah. And he's scored a lot. He had like 4 goals in 5 games at one point, Harrison, and goals and assists. So this club was ready to bin him off and bring in a croc. Listen, Zaniolo might have worked, but he's always injured. Do you know what I mean?
To cash in on money. It's again money, mate. Yeah, it's just to cash in on money. And like I said, if we do stay up, which I still think we've got a chance of staying up, I don't want to see wing out. The defence needs sorting. We've conceded 71, even if we've just conceded 51, we're not in the bottom 3.
But you know, the simple thing in football, what do? You don't build from the front, you build from the back.
Of course, mate.
All the brilliant teams in history, history, you can go back 10, 20, 30 years. They've all had immense defend. You know, I look at that Arsenal team, the Invincibles, you had like Adams, Campbell, Dixon, Ashley Cole. You built from the back. The scum teams that have been brilliant. You build. I tell you what, you don't even have to go that far back. You look at Leeds United in the Championship under Bielsa. You look at that team that went up. We barely conceded goals.
Well, I mentioned about the Bamford missing the more missed chances of that list that's been bandied about. On that list was Haaland, Jesus, and there was another big name. It forgets me. But they're in teams who can defend. So them chances aren't noticeable as much because their teams aren't conceding goals. So they can miss a chance or two because they'll win 2-0. Whereas when Bamford misses a chance, we'll concede.
Yeah.
So his chance is highlighted even more because we can't keep a clean sheet. We've actually scored in the last 11 games. To be 18th and to have scored in the last 11 games on the trot is remarkable. But we just can't defend.
It does feel like, Joe, we have to score. I mean, that's why that first one went in. I was watching your watch along. And obviously you went nuts and stuff, but I do
it's
feel
more a
like,
surprise more than anything, bro. I can't believe it. We're in front.
But I just feel like, I've said, Brownie, I said this to you last year, and I'll obviously go to Joe, but I remember just saying to Brownie, and I think at the time he was a little bit confused as to what I was saying, and I think a lot of people in the comments were. But when Leeds score a goal, I'm almost like, come on, like, but are we? I just know what. Yeah, I'm like, but I know what's coming, and I know it's just going to be someone just punching me in the gut. And it's not like I can't celebrate these moments, but I just know what's coming round the corner, and it just feels, mate, that every game is 2 or 3. I mean, Leeds. I think the commentator said to me, it might have been Stuart Pearson Fletcher on TalkSport. Joe, he said that I think Leeds are conceding it's something like 2.8 or 2.9 goals a game, and it's nearly 3 on average a game. So
sorry to butt in, Joe. This is what I was about to say. We're having to, as the last few games I can remember, we're having to score 3 to win a game. That's sustainable.
Yeah. There is a resignation about it, and it's like, thankfully it got chalked off. But I go back to when Vardy scored that goal for Leicester, and it got chalked off. But when that went in, I knew it was coming. Do you know what I mean? Thankfully, it was offside, and if it had checked his run, he wouldn't have been. But it's like when Bamford missed that penalty. There is that resignation, right, we're going to concede now. We're going to lose this game. And I think for me, the positives I have seen in the last two is the fact that we didn't capitulate against City and we did manage to get a point from Newcastle after going 2-1 down. So that's what gives me a little bit of hope going forward. And that's why, I go early on things I did on Grazia and look how that turned out. But that's why I go, do you know what? Let's have a bit of stability for once with the manager that knows what he's doing, man. I know the football might be turgid, but we'd be all right. Do you know what I mean? We'd be all right.
I'll be honest with everyone. I didn't think I'd like Big Sam. I just,
as much as you have, right?
I didn't think I would like it, but I'll tell you what I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed his no nonsense in what he said in his press conference. He said it as it is. You can tell instantly he's in charge of that. He's saying what's happening. He's playing it his way. He's not a yes man. And we have probably been more pragmatic than we were under Grazia, but we've just not looked as looked as
wide. More structured, don't we? There's a lot more structure
to the two games that I've seen. And on the flip side, I do get that you do have to be more structured against Man City and Newcastle, otherwise they will pick you off. But I just think the thing that pleased me most with the Newcastle game, which sounds daft because they scored two, but there were two penalties. Yes, they got into good areas, but we restricted them. I can't remember many clear-cut chances from Newcastle. Whereas in games gone by, there's been 3, 4, 5 chances where they could have scored at will. That Bournemouth game, for example, the last one under Grazia, they could have scored on every attack in that second half. It just looked like the red arrows coming through every time. But I don't recall that from Newcastle. I might be wrong. I've not watched it.
No, you're right. You're right. I felt that, mate. And I think, like you say, he takes no rubbish and threw the gauntlet down to the players. He said, I want them to score first because if we concede first, we'll be up against it. We must not lose this game. And as a fan watching that press conference, I got nervous because I was like, oh, God, man, what if we do lose? And even I started to think about it. So imagine what the players are thinking like, right? But they went and did what he said. You know what I mean? And I even like seeing Robbo, Carl Robinson, before the game, getting the back four together and really getting into them and stuff. And I like it, mate. And I think, I didn't realise for me just how big he was. Like, because the mad thing is, we seem to be getting it, like every podcast that I listen to, it was all about Big Sam, Big Sam, Big Sam. And I get from the outside, he's a bit of a joke figure. But when he took over, I was like, bloody hell, no, this guy carries weight. Like everyone wanted to know about Big Sam. And yes, he has the dinosaur tag and stuff. But when you actually look and think about what he did in the game with Bolton, etc., he's actually got more to him than we give him credit for, you know what I mean? Like, you know me, I listened to the debrief while I was at work when he first got appointed. And Connor was going through and I'm sat there going,
When I left many years ago, when I left Leeds, I actually went to Bolton, bizarrely, and Sam Allardyce was the manager. I went to Bolton for a week or two, and he was the first person to be bringing in all this he spoke a lot about psychology and everything. And he was one of the first managers to actually bring all that in at Bolton when they did well. So I get what you're saying. He's a big character, and when he's speaking, you listen. That's how I feel. I feel like when he's doing his press conferences, I listen. Whereas the previous couple of managers, to me, it's felt like just words, if that makes sense. It's just felt like he's saying stuff, but does that guy actually truly believe what he's saying? Because I had an element of, I didn't really get that. But whereas with Sam Allardyce, I feel like what he's saying is, the big call, first game, Melier dropped. He's taking no nonsense. He's doing it his way. And if it works, it's him. And if it doesn't, it isn't. But yeah,
Rocker was a big one as well, wasn't he?
Rocker dropped. So yeah, I remember messaging my brother after the game when we got home. I thought, do you know what? Whatever division we're in, I wouldn't be bothered if he stayed. And I never thought I'd say that. I thought 4 games and then it'd be done, because obviously you have that rhetoric of Bielsa to Allardyce in 14 months, and it is a bit of a joke. But
yeah,
I know I've gone full circle, and whatever league we're in, I wouldn't be opposed to him being manager. I really wouldn't. He's come across really well.
So
What about you, Connor? I'll ask you that question. Come on, put your neck on the line.
Yeah, I get it. I think I'd be interested to see the
dinosaur in charge.
Yeah, if it was a bigger sample size, I'd be interested. Obviously he's coming in, had 4 games. It felt like it could.
He demands signings, though, Connor. He would. He demands players.
He went. I mean, you boys know where my head's at, but he went down with West Ham as well, didn't he? So I mean, would he fancy it? Who knows? I'd be more confident with him maybe in the Championship than I would in the Premier League. I think he'd be one of those in the Championship where people turn around and go, at the end of the day,
I want to play for him.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, he's still. I know he only had 1 game, but he is still an ex-England manager, isn't he? So it's a big fish in a small pond, you could say, in the Championship. But yeah, I don't know, lads. I mean, we've not seen it a lot with Sam, have we? He's not been able to properly, embellish on his style. But I want to see more of the ball on the floor. I'm sick of seeing the ball in the air. I want to see Leeds actually being decent in possession. Still don't think they look fit enough, to be honest. I don't know what you boys think about that.
That was interesting. That was interesting what he said. He said, and I don't know if this is clever, trying to get fans on side, but he actually mentioned the whole Bielsa and why we'd gone away from being the fittest team in the league and not running as much. Why we'd gone away from that. He wasn't. And listen, clever. He knows what people think of Bielsa and what we thought of that side that came up. That was our identity, wasn't it? Working hard, running more than the other teams. And you're right, Connor. It hasn't seemed like that. I mean, I keep going back to that Bournemouth game, but dear me, I think me, you and Joe could have played midfield for Bournemouth that day. The amount of space that centre midfield had. There was just nobody near him. But I mean, I guess with Sam as well, you can expect. I mean, interesting after the game when he turned round and said, "I told them to stay on the feet, and they've gone down against City. They've given away a penalty, and they've given away 2 penalties against Newcastle. Best believe I'll be going in the changing rooms now and making sure that doesn't happen again." And I thought you could never imagine Grazia doing anything like that, could you? He just seemed like a really nice guy, just a top guy, and you wouldn't, if you're Rutter or you're Nonto or you're Sinisterra or you're Rocker or whoever, you're probably going into the changing rooms at half time and you're thinking, I've made a mistake, but nothing's really happening to me. He called Strike out, didn't he? In his interview after Man City, he let him, even in the interview, that's just not good enough. And do you know what I mean? And I like that. I don't like the pussyfooting around and nicey, and players need to be told. Yeah, like you say, Connor, I think Grazia came across just wanting to be everybody's friend, and in a relegation battle, I'm not sure that's the right recipe.
Yeah, it's interesting. Little review on Big Sam there. Give me a bit of confidence in him, but I want to get to the director of football chat in a little bit. But with the Newcastle game, I just kind of want to touch on the relegation picture. Joe, I'll come to you first, mate. Where's your head at, mate? Where's your head at?
I'm bricking it, bro. Like I'm not as confident as I was last season, and that went to the final day, not by any stretch of the imagination.
When you're not confident,
that's what I'm saying, bro.
I'm up shit creek with it.
We've been down since September. Listen,
listen, we were down at start of season under Connor.
Trust me, when I saw him on the touchline at the start of the season, Jesse Marshall thinking, God.
Don't get me started. I know. Look, Everton away at Wolves, Saturday, 3:00.
Yeah.
That's the one. I think if they win, they've then got Palace, I think, on the... No, that's Forest. I don't know Everton, but Everton are at home final day. Best believe if they're at home final day, they're winning that game.
Yeah, they are. Well, they did it. It was last season with Palace, wasn't it? It wasn't the last day of the season, but they galvanised against Palace and they came in with the blue smoke and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then that clown that's close to the players at our club tried to foster the same sort of atmosphere, didn't he? No, anyway, less said about that guy, the better. But it's mad. You've got Everton Wolves is huge, man. Everton Wolves is huge because I do think we'll beat West Ham. And the reason I say that is they play Thursday. We hope they go to extra time. They're only 2-1 up in that. So you could see AZ getting 1, maybe 1-0, go to extra time. I seen the lineup for the weekend against Brentford and it was weak compared to what they normally play with. Oh, yeah, 9 changes. And this notion that if they get knocked out, they'll play all, they're not going to, man. They'll have had 3 days rest. You know what I mean? There's not a chance, even if they get knocked out, that all them same players, first team, your Rices, all then start on Sunday. I don't see it. So I think we have to be favourites for that and go with the attitude to win. But again, we're relying on others now, bro, unfortunately. And, you look at the statistical numbers behind it, and there was a graph doing the rounds yesterday of like, out of a possible 60,000 different permutations, 43,000 of them seen Leeds go down. And I was like, oh no, man, like we're doomed, but it's not over till it's over. And I think, Big Sam said, as long as we're in it on the final day, then we might be all right, bro, because I get shades of... You get shades of, Bristol, don't you? You know what I mean? That final day, you're playing Spurs, they Kane leaving, Ryan Mason in charge, Leeds need to pull something out. We've done it before. I know it's League One, but why can't we do it again, But it's all about getting there, and we've got to beat West Ham.
So we've got Everton, who've got Wolves away next, and then they've got Bournemouth at home, and we've got Forest, who've got Arsenal, which, I mean, I'm turning around and I'm thinking, surely not. But then I'm looking at Arsenal, and I'm watching them yesterday, and I'm thinking they're on the beach. They're just gone.
But bro, the good thing we've got with that is City don't play till Sunday, so Arsenal have to win. Because if City had played Chelsea on the Saturday and the other way around and City win, then title's done anyway, mathematically. But Arteta will send them out with, this is not mathematically done. They will go out there like Trojans, and you never know with Chelsea. Lampard will want to scupper it, won't he? Sorry, bro.
But you think I think you look at it, and it's interesting. I was having a chat with my old man yesterday, and it's weird because I'm looking at it right now, and I'm looking at the goal difference, which, Brownie, we've been banging on about for years, haven't we? But the goal difference, when you look at it now, and I'm looking at Everton having just maybe a slight better goal difference than us, having Wolves and Bournemouth, and I'm then looking at Forest having a worse goal difference than us, and I'm thinking, well, they've got Arsenal at home. You're praying that Arsenal are going to do, so there's going to be a reaction. I think potentially.
I think one win does it. I think one win does it.
I think, Brownie, that Brighton result against Arsenal could have been the worst possible scenario for Forest, because Joe said, they're going to come out because he's not going to let them lie down. He's a mold of Pep, isn't he? Yeah. So I guess and some Forest fans just said Martinelli's a doubt for Arsenal, which I guess is quite big. I mean, he's stretched up, wasn't he? But
Trossard will come in though.
Will come in, and then they've got Palace away on the last day of the season, which isn't going to be easy. So you do look at it and you think, I look at Forest right now. I don't know about you. I'm kind of thinking Everton. I don't know, in my head.
Do you know the one thing I will say just on that, which gives me a little bit of confidence, but then I heard something today that ruined that for me. But since great. No. Listen though,
you smacked me down again.
No, since we beat Wolves, right? They've won 4 games at home on the spin to 0. Right? They've beat Chelsea in that run, they've beat Brentford in that run, they've beat Villa in that run 1-0, and they've beat another team. So at home, they're very, very good. Yeah. However, they went away to Man United and got beat 2-0, and Lopetegui said afterwards, they're safe now, they've dropped off. So then I was like, oh God. But
oh no.
But at home, 4 games on the spin to 0.
Yeah, they are good.
Maybe they beat Everton 1-0. That's what I'm clinging on to, but I don't know.
Here's my take. I think one win will do it.
For anyone.
No, I'm talking Leeds. I do think Everton are okay. I think that win at Brighton will be enough for them, because
which is a mad thing to say, isn't it, when they're on 32 points?
No, but I do think that they beat Bournemouth on the final day. I'm with Joe. I think the Wolves away game is harder than people think, because they are good at home, Wolves. Leicester, I expect to get beat tonight. And then they're going to St James's. I think Leicester are in massive trouble. I really do. So I think one win does do it for us. And I don't... I've said this so many times, and it hasn't turned out. I don't see Forest getting any more points. I don't.
Need a soundboard for that.
If they do, fair play to them. If they do, fair play to Forest. But I don't see them beating Arsenal, and Palace have been good under Roy Hodgson. Yeah. And I think Palace at home on the final day, as a Palace fan, I think they go out and win it. Could be Roy Hodgson's last game. I think Palace beat them. So I think one win takes us above Forest.
I think you're looking. I think you're now looking at Elise and Eze now as well. And I mean, they just look unbelievable at the minute. So
I
you're
would
hoping that they carry that on.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I'd rather be at home to Tottenham than going to Palace.
Yeah,
because Tottenham, you just do not know what Tottenham's going to turn.
No,
up.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
But I think Tottenham could turn up and be absolutely all over the place, and half of them want moves because they could be out. Come that game, they could be not even qualifying for Europe.
Yeah,
Their games in hand. I'm still hopeful, but like Joe says, we have to get something at West Ham, and it really needs to be a win. So it's more in our hands, really, knowing that if we beat West Ham, we go into the final day outside the relegation zone.
I think we're all in agreement. I think we're all in agreement now. I think we've got to. There's no. I'm not taking this draw crap anymore. We've got to beat West Ham. We've got to beat West Ham. There's got to be a point where we turn around and say that's a must-win game. Yeah.
And
let me treat out this Brownie. Sorry, great chat, guys. I think if the hierarchy recognised we're in a relegation fight at Christmas, someone like Big Sam would have been hired. They're in denial, Orta too much influence. Yeah, Michael, I think you bang on. I think we've all recognised that Orta. I mean, well, we know, don't we? Orta's ran the club. You know, obviously Radrizzani provides the finance, but I don't think Radrizzani's that clued up on football, to be honest. So you've had Victor Orta running the club now for about 4 or 5 years when it comes to managerial appointments, when it comes to player additions. So it's one of those where it's and we'll get into that in just a little bit, mate. But yeah, sorry, Brandon, what were you saying?
I was just echoing what Joe said. I think it's a really poignant point that West Ham are away in their second leg. They put out a much weakened team against Brentford and they were awful. It was 2-0, could have been 5. I think all their eggs are in this European game. And I think if they win it and were to go through, I think their eggs are even more, not even focusing on the league. Because without an unbelievable swing of goal difference, West Ham are safe now.
Do you think
I think if Leicester get beat tonight, they're mathematically, I think, or there or thereabouts. I think.
What, down?
No. West Ham, like West Ham with unless like a massive swing of goal difference. I think.
Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, I think Leicester are in big trouble. But I've said this so many times to you, Connor. There can be so many swings and roundabouts. I mean, who would have envisaged Brighton getting beat 5-1 by Everton? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's been freak results. Forest beating Brighton.
Brighton have absolutely done us in, haven't they? Brighton. Yeah. It's just unbelievable.
Without them 2 results, mate, I think we're sat here very happy.
We are. 100%. 100%. Yeah, they've just couldn't believe it.
We want a 1-0 AZ Alkmaar win, don't we, in 90 minutes, and then they have to go to extra time. Do you know what I mean? West Ham extra time and then penalties, and then they progress. That'd be the perfect scenario for us. You know what I mean?
Where I'm at to finish it off. I came back from Bournemouth away, dead and buried. I was absolutely dead and buried. We were done. We were on the bus talking about who we were keeping, who was going, what grounds are in the Championship. That was the conversation. There's now hope. The last couple of games have given us that little bit of hope that we can get a result away at West Ham, or we can get some at home to Tottenham. I do feel Everton will be okay. That win against Bournemouth, the win against Brighton, with them having Bournemouth on the final day, I think we'll see them safe.
Does feel like it's a shootout between us and Forest, doesn't it? It feels like.
Yeah, I do think Leicester will go, and I think the other one will be us or Forest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the good. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but Everton play at 3:00 Saturday, and Nottingham Forest play at 5:30 Saturday. So we'll know by Sunday what we need. Do you know what I mean? And Big Sam will use that. If we need 3 points, and they just put their lineup up. And he'll have it up on. I can imagine him putting it up on wall and that. He's saying, "These lads, second string team out. You need 3 points, you know." And I reckon they go out and get it. But it all depends on the results on Saturday. Knowing how look, Forest and Everton win, and then we'll be like, right, well, we're done. Do you know what I mean?
Would you? Would you drop Bamford?
No, not away at West Ham.
Keep him in.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, when I say 1 win will do it, the opposite. If one of them get a win, I think we're toast.
Yeah, I do. I do. 100%. 100%. I mean, what are you looking at there? You're looking at Everton if they let's say,
safe,
Forest to be safe, mathematically, and then you look at Everton and you'd have us going into is that you just need a major goal swing, wouldn't you? Was that right? Would that be right?
With what?
No, we could still go above them, couldn't we? Be going
into
we're
only a point behind them. And
the
thing is, Everton's goal difference is one better, but if we were to catch them up on points, they'd have to get beat, so their goal difference would then fall down. So we'd catch them on goal difference just in that respect. So,
what would your thoughts be if we got beat by West Ham at the weekend?
Like Joe says, it's a good thing that the games are before us, and if they get beat, then it's as you were, innit? It's all on Tottenham.
The way my mind works, Connor, you said about a point's not enough, and I say that before the game, and then when the point comes around, and I look at the table and I go, "Oh, there's still a chance. It wasn't a bad point." You know what I mean? That's the thing. You don't know till after.
Everton and Forest could both get beat. We go get a point and we're level with Everton.
Yeah,
and we're a point behind Forest with them going to Palace.
Yeah, exactly.
We'd be two. We'd need a win, wouldn't we? We'd need to beat.
It's like Michael said earlier, though. It's just
that 28's going to be brutal. That final game, that Sunday, is going to be mental.
Tell you what, mate, my birthday is the 29th, so that's going to be a right laugh, isn't it?
Oh God. Econ says if DCL is out for Everton, they're in trouble too. And yeah, I agree with you, mate. But I think I've been convinced of it for a while, and Brownie will know because I'm constantly negative, as Joe knows as well. And Leeds just kill me. And my way of portraying that I'm massively frustrated is coming on and moaning in every group chat I have. Thanks, by the way, CJJ. But if that does happen, it is, it's even though I've been convinced it's going to be happening for a while. If that does happen, and I'm praying it doesn't, there's always that element of hope in you. It's going to absolutely kill me on that last day. It will absolutely kill me, even though because you two are very different. You two have always been in that headspace of, I think we'll be all right. But I've been in that other camp, but it will still hurt as much. It'll absolutely kill me. That
you don't want to be right, do you? You don't want to be right.
No. It's just passion, mate. When we get into debates and arguments as fans, it's just passion. And of course it'll hurt, it'll kill you. But I see people going, "Oh, well, it was 16 years last time." Listen, when we went down last time, we were paying goldfish. We had to sell everything. It was an absolute fire sale.
There was no parachute payments then either, was there?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I think we go down. I think, let's put it this way. You probably get this clipped up when we go down and don't come back up. You have to be very bad to go down and not come back up. Yeah. How bad were Burnley last year? Sheffield United was stinking the year before and they've bounced straight back up. You look at the playoffs, and this is no disrespect, but one of them's got Gelhardt leading the line. The other one's got Cody Drama. Right? These are players that we've sent out on loan, not deemed good enough for our team. Millwall, who just missed out, had Creswell and Shackleton playing. The Championship, I don't want to be there because it's hell.
It's just awful to get out of, though, isn't it? It's just awful.
I think Leeds would go down with that much money in parachute payments, and let's be right, we'd be selling 4 or 5 players, which is going to generate another 100 million, because you're going to have to think Sinistera gone, Melier gone, Adams probably gone. Harrison probably gone.
Harrison would go.
Harrison,
I mean, so
low-end Premier League clubs would snap him up.
4 players there that
we
would
get a more consistent, better player in the Championship as well.
Generate 100 million plus parachute payments. I don't envisage as if we go down as not being anywhere near that top 2. Do you know what I mean?
We wouldn't have Victor Orta going across Europe if you try to find these. No, it's true though, innit, bro? We wouldn't have them. That's why I'd be more inclined with having someone like Big Sam, because you get players that will get us out of the bloody division. You know what I mean? Not, let's go get this tricky winger who's played in Division 2 in Spain that will he even adjust in time. We need ready.
But they've got
with him gone. Go on, mate.
No, you were gone, mate. I'll
with him gone. I don't know. I'm not big on director of footballs. I don't know. But, with him gone, you would hope that they get someone who's a bit more in tune and who isn't so egotistical to think that his way is always the right way,
I think the only issue with sporting directors is, because they've got all the power. I always think a lot of them do have those egos. Yeah. I think that's the problem, because they've got all the power in the world. But you look at Stuart Webber. I don't know if either of you have heard of Stuart Webber. But he was at
Norwich.
Yeah, he was at Huddersfield
right.
with Wagner when they went up, and then he was with Norwich when Farker went up with them as well. And he's actually a Leeds fan. He's actually a Leeds fan. You think he's at, I think he's at Norwich now, or he might have just left. But he doesn't want to. I think he's wanted to move up north for numerous years now. And you think, this is my point right now. I mean, I'll be honest with you, my French, but I'm pissed off we haven't got anyone in at this moment in time when it comes to director of football. Because I think it doesn't matter what division you're in. You just have a list of manager for the Championship, the Premier League, list of players for the Championship, whatever. You have your house in order. All I'm worried about is, because you boys know, if we are in the Championship, it starts earlier. And we know there's going to be about a 6 to 7 week period where Leeds have got to get a director of football in. They've got to get their plans in motion. They've got to get the player in, the manager. That's all I'm saying I'm just thinking, I just wish we can get it all in order. And that's all I'm saying, boys. I just think the uncertainty of the ownership, the director of football, the manager, the players, that's for me the only thing that can work against Leeds. It's the uncertainty in the summer.
It is a long slog, though. I mean, you look at Middlesbrough. I mean, where were they? 22nd. And they've ended up 3rd. They were 22nd when Carrick went in, and that was, people know better than me. I haven't really followed it much, but it must have been near Christmas time, November, December, when Carrick went in there. And they've managed
I think Liam's just said rarely. Liam's, obviously, me and Joe know his dad was close to at Forest Green, at the top of the chairman rank there, but really rare not to have a director of football prepping for next season already. Ipswich have been prepping for both division for weeks already. Need a director of football ASAP. I think it's literally just because we need our house in order, Brownie, and you want to be going into next season, the Premier League or the Championship, with all your houses. It's all your cards in order for once. Just for once, get them in order. And that's
not the Leeds United way.
I know, mate. I know. I mean, that's why I'm always a miserable git.
Going back to the Newcastle game, if there was ever a 2-minute period that could sum up Leeds United, that goes from ecstasy to absolute despair. It was the 2 minutes of the penalties. That just summed up the last 2 years.
Yeah,
them 2 penalty decisions summed up Leeds United in an instant. Ecstasy to despair, just like that. And I still think we'll stay up, so I don't really even want to talk about the Championship. But Leeds in the Championship, and this might be me being a Leeds fan, and people might not buy it if you're not a Leeds fan, but Leeds they'd be a big fish in that Championship. Yeah. Everybody, if you got the chance to go and play for Leeds United, whether it's the 1st of August or the 31st of August when the transfer window shuts, you're picking Leeds.
Well, I guess what you've got to look at is even when we were in turmoil and we went down in 2005, we nearly went straight back up, didn't we? Because players wanted to come to Leeds. So that's how you got to look at it as well.
Yeah. But we're going to beat West Ham, and then we're going to get a point against Tottenham, and we'll be fine.
Yeah. Just on like the director of football situation though, and I know people are bored of hearing this now, but look at Brighton, man. They're getting rid of McAllister and what's his face? Caicedo. They've already signed James Milner, Joao Pedro, and who's the most recent one? They've got 3.
It's Dahoud at Dortmund, isn't it?
Dahoud, on a free transfer. So before the season's even finished, they've already sorted out their business. And you're like, what are we doing, man?
We're following the Leicester model, though. That's going absolutely brilliantly, isn't it?
Brownie following them down.
Well, Southampton, though, as well, are the same. They're with that type of model, you know what I mean?
We're just a curse. Only us could say we're following a team who've won the Premier League. We're following their model because they're in Europe, and then they up going down.
God, nobody understands. I think they were saying it on the Phil Hay show as well. Like, Big Sam will come in, and loads of people have said to him, you've not seen Leeds, like you won't have experienced a club like Leeds. And Sam would have probably just gone, yeah, all right then. And he just seen that period at the weekend and gone, what the, was that? You know what I mean? It's like, well, that's Leeds. It's never easy, is it?
It isn't. I mean, I think like, wouldn't it just be nice to have a nice game 3-0? And just be cruising. And I always think back to that Cardiff game in the Championship where we were absolutely rampant. We were 3-0 up and it could have been 7 by half time. We ended up drawing 3-3.
Someone brought up the other day, because they were talking about Bamford, and they brought us back to that Wigan game. You know, did he miss the? Oh, it's Pablo. Wasn't it? Pablo missed the penalty to make it 2-0. We got one sent off, and then they not won the away game all season. Went to score 2. It's like, oh, it's so late.
That was on Easter weekend. That ruined my week. That honestly,
bro, I got battered for that, by the way, right? And my mate was a Borough fan, because on my video I was going, Leeds, top of the home form table. Wigan, bottom of the away form table. When we go goal in front, we never lose, right? We went 1-0 up and fucking lost.
It's Leeds in a nutshell, isn't it? It's Leeds in a nutshell. You're on mute, mate. You're on mute. Not Joe, Brownie. Brownie just went quiet then.
You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. I saw a stat about Tottenham. They've not won any of their last 9 away games.
They're gonna retweet that, yeah.
Step forward, Leeds United.
Do you know? I was thinking. I remember speaking to my dad about it when we went down to. I think it was Ellen Road earlier on. Might have been last season when they won 4. Was that 4-0 last season when Spurs beat us 4-0 at Ellen Road? I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. And I just remember seeing Harry Kane and thinking to myself, I don't know if you boys have seen this when you've been watching him. He had 4 shots on goal that game. He wasn't as in the game as you'd expect. I think he might have scored 1. 2 whistled past the post, and 1 was an unbelievable save from Melly. And you just think that is the difference. It's Harry Kane on that turn, and just his qualities. I guess that's his top 6, isn't it? Top 4, top 6.
Chance. I mean, Haaland at half time in the Everton game had 3 touches.
Yeah.
3 touches. One of them was a goal. That's all. That's all you need, and it's just. It is the difference, mate. It is the difference.
Like we said, that Sam's done it before. He's been able to. I mean, when he was at Bolton and stuff. Do you remember when Arsenal used to go there with Henry and Bergkamp, and they couldn't stand playing with Bolton? So yeah, I mean, you just open and praying that something can go our way, but it's going to be tight. It's going to be so tight. I'm going to go
full Jesse Marsh and state the obvious. It's about putting the ball in the net and stopping it going in that net, and that's something I can imagine him saying. To be honest,
yeah. And that's the level of insight the Leeds players were getting at the start of the season. Pretty incredible.
I'm not about football tactics. I'm all about creating an atmosphere. That's was his thing. I could have gone in with a pair of turntables and created an atmosphere, man. It's cool.
To be fair, a good Netflix series is good on a night like it is. Like sitting down on the sofa with a good Netflix. What next episode on that? That's good. That.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, what a car crash. Anyway, I'll tell you what. We'll close it out, guys. There's been 1,400 of you in the building. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you're liking the content. Head over to Joe. Joe, you're doing a little stream tonight, aren't you? You're at Leicester and
Liverpool, yeah. And I'm a couple of hundred off 20k now. So if you could get me there, that'd be great, man. Please.
Yeah, head on over, guys. Make sure you do that. And what we'll do is, like we always do at the end of the show, we'll get into your score predictions. So West Ham down the weekend, as we've said, they're still in the Conference League, doing very well, you have to say. I think we'd adore to be in their position at the minute, pretty much safe. And, in a semi-final, it'd be lovely. But, that's football, that's Leeds United, the gods that don't seem to shine on us that often. However, we go into this with a little bit of renewed hope after a draw against Newcastle. Make sure you get your score predictions in the comment section, as always. Carlos Alberto's gone with a 3-1 Leeds, 3-0 West. Oh, this would be... I'd be in such a horrific mood. I don't know if I could come on after that. That would be that. If you just battered and
just take another holiday, bro.
Another holiday.
You see me jumping into the Thames.
Yeah, I couldn't handle. I couldn't handle that. That'd be bad. Badras says West Ham 1, Leeds 3. Santhana says Leeds 2, West Ham 1, 3-2 to Leeds, says the Welsh White. Blinky Fish says Leeds win 2-0. So a lot of optimism. Joe was the guest. We'll go to you first, mate. What's your score prediction?
I'd love to say we keep clean sheet, but I just can't see it.
Joe, real world.
Newcastle, 2 penalties. They didn't really create from open play, but no, I think West Ham will score. But with their depleted lineup and Leeds United up for it, I think we win the game 2-1. 2-1. Yeah.
All right. 2-1. Christ alive.
Amazing. Wouldn't it be amazing to win a game of football, man? Imagine.
It would. When did we last win? Was it Forest?
Forest,
Yeah,
mate.
Forest, yeah.
You just think, just another win, any of them games, just one win. Anyway, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'd love Joe's result. I really would. I'm going to stick to my drawing on together. I said we'd draw our way to survival. I've said that all season. And it could happen. We could draw and then draw against Tottenham and stay up if Forest get beat in both games. So it could happen. I'm going 2-2.
Desmond.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on how the fixture's going to lie then? Who's going to see? You said it's between us and Forest. So what's going to happen with Forest then? Do you think?
I don't see them beating Arsenal, but I didn't see them beating Brighton, to be honest. But honestly, like Joe says, they have to win. They're playing before City. Arsenal have to win. I see them getting beat, so I see us closing the gap to 2 points. I see Everton maybe drawing at Wolves. I can't see.
I could see a draw there.
1-0 Wolves, I think. 1-0 Wolves.
I can see a Wolves win or an Everton draw. I can't see them going and winning.
I would like to see Dominic Calvert-Lewin out because as soon as Morpay came on, I was just laughing.
Do you think that's game management? I reckon he thought. I genuinely think the game's gone 2-0. I'll take off DCL and save him for last two. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. And the other one is, which has been a good win, good with us taking points off Newcastle. Leicester going to Newcastle. Newcastle have to win to stay in that top 4. So I don't see Leicester getting anything up there.
No, I don't.
So it'd mean it goes to the final day.
Yeah. Just on Brighton, someone's put this up just to put it into context, right? Beat Chelsea 2-1, lost to Man United on penalties, then lost 3-1 to Forest, right? Then beat Wolves 6-0, beat Man United 1-0, lost 5-1 to Everton, and then beat Arsenal 3-0. That's mental. The 2 games they've lost is Forest and Brighton.
Even if they just beat one of them,
exactly. It's Brighton.
I didn't see it. I mean, I had the day off and sat there with my missus and you were about to go to Lisbon the day afterwards and you sit down on Monday and you think, all right.
Disgusting.
You think 5-3? You think 5-3? I mean, Joe, I know you did a marathon of watching.
Oh, mate, I was buzzing on. I just went like this.
but when you're thinking 5-3 Fulham, and then you're thinking in my head, actually, that was almost the toughest one. I thought Leicester maybe get something.
Yeah, I was the same as you.
Maybe like a 2-0 or whatever. But I thought, oh, here we go, and then you see 5-1 at Brighton. I'm just like, what is going on? What on earth?
I'll tell you one thing that's going to be a problem because on the final day last year at Brentford, phone signal were great. You could get a signal because there were only about 10,000 fans. Getting a phone signal in LMO to see the scores on that final day, not going to have a clue what's going on.
I'll just text you.
I've done watch-alongs all season, and I said to my mate Sean, who was sitting next to me, I went, do you reckon they'll have me in if I go in for the last game just in case we stay up and run on pitch? They're all like, what are you doing here? Johnny, come lately, have comfort celebrations, man.
Just keep the watch-along running at home.
Yeah,
oh, God. Nick says, Everton caught Brighton very cold. I know there's very cold. Listen, there's very cold when it's 2-0 or 2-1, but 5-1. Dwight McNeil looking like Ronaldinho. Unbelievable. I'm going to go with a 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1.
So we're all thinking a positive result then, which with me
on the panel. But I do think we might get something. Do you know what I can see is taking the lead through Harrison or something, and I know.
Don't tease me.
I know, but right, we'll leave it there, guys. Once again, thank you so much. The Connor curse means we're winning. Yeah, there you go. Make sure you tune in, as I say, to Joe's watch along, which I think is going on pretty soon. Make sure you're slapping the like. Tune into the debrief next week, everybody. As always, thanks for your support. Send your love over to Gabe as well. He's moving house in America. And we will see you in a bit. Cheers.